Hello, today we will be giving you an overview of the music streaming services, specifically how Spotify operates on a day-to-day basis. We will focus on both the positives and negatives of the operations of the streaming music, dealing with both the artist and the consumer. To start, we will define the term streaming.
Streaming, according to BBC's WebWise team, is defined as listening to music or watching a video in real time instead of downloading a file to your computer and watching it later. This benefits consumers because they can listen to music without having to download it ahead of time, saving them time and making the overall experience easier. While some content providers tend to look at streaming as a bad thing for their business, some other content providers prefer streaming because it makes it harder for consumers to download and distribute their content illegally.
Today we will be discussing some of the more popular music streaming services. This includes Pandora, Tidal, iTunes Radio, Apple Music, and iHeartRadio. One of the most popular ones is Spotify.
With there being a variety of streaming services offered today, there is also a variety of costs that you may be or may not be willing to pay based on your personal preference and how often you listen to the music. The first one is Pandora, which is free with ads or $5 a month. Spotify is free with ads or $10 a month without ads. Tidal is $9.99 or $19.99 a month with better sound quality. iTunes Radio is free with ads or $25 a year without ads. And Apple Music is $9.99 a month or $14.99 a month with a family subscription. And iHeartRadio is always free. As you can see, there's a variety of costs ranging from free to $25 a year and anywhere in between. So depending on your personal preference and what you decide, how often you listen to, or which has your favorite artist, you can determine from there if you are willing or not willing to listen to ads to decide how much you would like to pay per month or per year for your live streaming.
There are two different types of royalties. The first being mechanical royalties, and the second being performance right royalties. A mechanical royalty is a royalty that is paid on a physical or digital copy of a recorded song. This term stems from the days when records were made mechanically. A mechanical royalty is paid by record labels or anyone else releasing an album to songwriters for albums that feature the songwriter's material. Sometimes mechanical royalties are paid on all albums a label presses, and sometimes they are paid only on the albums that are pressed and distributed. In this case, the label doesn't have to pay on what they don't sell. A performance right royalty is a royalty paid to a songwriter on a live performance of a song. Although a live performance of a song can literally be a live performance like a concert, a live performance can also be a public playing of a recorded song, such as a song being played on the radio. These royalties are collected by performance rights societies such as ASCAP or BMI, who monitor media for live performances of songs.
According to the Recording Industry Association of America, music streaming generated $500 million in 2010 in revenue, and that has grown to $1.9 billion in 2014. Spotify pays about 10% of its revenue to songwriters, which is split between mechanical and performance royalties, and about 60% to the artists. Services like Spotify don't have to negotiate with songwriters because the government sets the rates through the consent decree for PROs and then a compulsory mechanical license.
Focusing on Spotify specifically, often Spotify catches a lot of grief for the way that they do give their royalty payments, which range between 6 cents to 84 cents per stream. The company claims that a small band can make $3,300 a month, while a large band or artist could make up to $76,000 a month and beyond. So it truly just depends on how successful your song or band is, how popular you are, and how well known you are, depending on how much money you're going to make a month off of Spotify specifically. While it doesn't directly cost to put any music or sound onto Spotify, Spotify only uploads music from labels and distributors. So if they don't have a label or distributor, the song will not be put onto Spotify, therefore listeners cannot listen to it. In addition, Spotify doesn't allow artists to put merchandise up for free on their profile, and no cut is taken for merchandise sales. However, only 3 items can be listed at a time per artist, which can only be put on through labels or distributors. So being on Spotify, you can make very little money and not benefit much, while others can make up to $80,000-$100,000 per month. It just depends on the popularity of the song and the artist.
You may have heard about the Taylor Swift vs. Apple controversy that happened recently. A few days before Apple Music launched at the end of June, Swift posted an open letter criticizing the company for not paying royalties to music rights holders during the free 3-month trial they were offering to their listeners. It took mere hours for Apple to reverse their policy after hearing what Taylor Swift had to say. She writes, "This is not about me. I can support myself, my band, crew, and entire management team by playing live shows. This is about the new artist or band that has just released their first single and will not be paid for its success. This is about the young songwriter who just got his or her first cut and thought that the royalties from that would get them out of debt. This is about the producer who works tirelessly to innovate and create, just like the innovators and creators at Apple are pioneering in their field, but will not get paid for a quarter of a year's worth of plays on his or her songs. 3 months is a long time to go unpaid, and it is unfair to ask anyone to work for nothing. We don't ask you for free iPhones. Please don't ask us to provide you with our music for no compensation." This letter demonstrates how influential Taylor Swift is in the music industry, but it also demonstrates how artists depend on the royalties generated from their streaming services to make a living. When they are not properly compensated, it affects their livelihood.
In another recent case, Spotify removed all of the music produced by Victory Records off of their service. After 2 weeks, Victory Records founder Tony Brummel came forward saying that unless Spotify put the label's music back onto their service, that he will be forced to begin laying off his staff and dropping his artists. Brummel is quoted in an email saying, "They are over 70% of our monthly digital sales." The dispute was over money that Spotify owed Victory Records for unpaid mechanical royalties. According to Billboard, Spotify owes Victory Records about $23,000, showing the impact that Spotify has upon these small independent labels, and that while they do benefit these small independent labels, it's also very important that these small independent labels are getting paid the money that they deserve, much like the other labels. So while music streaming is often seen as vastly more beneficial for the consumer, most of that is backed up, as some artists are paid in far greater amounts than others. This is why it's important for bigger artists like Taylor Swift to stand up and call out these services for injustices that they are performing to the smaller guys. We live in an age of streaming, and that will not be changed anytime soon. So the important thing is that we make sure to make the system one that benefits everyone equally and allows artists to continue to produce content.
Okay. Let's go!